I want to welcome all of you to this session. My name is Abhyuday Agarwal, and the intention of this session is to enable you to find out new career opportunities in a post-COVID world and to prepare for that. So at the outset, now you all can use the chat box and type any questions, any concerns you have. Please let me know how many of you are already students of LawSeco. Okay, and let me know if you're not a student of LawSeco. It will just help me in understanding where things lie. A lot of you may not be final year students, which means you're not immediately looking for a job, but you may be looking for paid internships or just internship opportunities to grow your skills. Let me know that on chat as well. If you're graduating, then let me know that. Okay, now we are going to start, and also let me know that how do you think that this lockdown and the post-COVID world is going to affect jobs? Okay, let me know that on chat as well. So I'm going to sort of factor all of this in as we move forward into the conversation. Okay, great. So chat is visible to everyone. There are law students from first year to fourth year, fifth year. There is a lawyer and a CS, one who's a student of one of our courses. There are final year law students. Got it. Great. So one thing to note about this lockdown is that when it first happened in March, people thought that let us pass a couple of months and see how things will shape up, right? So there was a period of uncertainty, but it was a short-term uncertainty. Now, we are very clear that legal work is going on. There is a lot of legal work. Courts are preparing to go online. They have started going online. There would have been, there was a LinkedIn post from Aditya Swaroop, a litigator, which showed how on one day he was present for proceedings in 3 different courts. Okay, so courts are going online. There are arbitral institutions which are conducting online arbitration proceedings. Okay, and even a lot of judges, retired judges who are from Supreme Court and High Courts who are appointed as arbitrators, some of them are planning to go to conduct proceedings online. Okay, so legal work hasn't stopped. Okay, where the problem is happening is that people are struggling to identify how to engage young lawyers, how to hire and onboard young lawyers. That's one part. Okay, some people need to reskill. So if you were a pure play litigator and you did only court work for the past 2 months, you might have struggled a little bit. Things may be coming back to normal now, but at the same time, people are beginning to think that career opportunities are no longer like the way they used to be. For example, somebody could say earlier that I want to be a litigator exclusively who practices in trial courts. I want to be a high court litigator. Today, after the lockdown happened, a lot of litigators may have realized that it is even better if I can do some contract drafting work. It is even better if I can do some work which enables me to draft notices and responses to notices, some pre-litigation work I can do. I need not exclusively focus on the court filings. Okay. At the same time, it's not that this didn't happen for corporate lawyers. Corporate lawyers also realized that in the industries where deals were happening, the investment deals have continued to happen, but in different industries. They've shifted from one industry segment to another. And every corporate lawyer started to think of even employment related issues because there were new employment related issues coming up. And if you look at how the law in the past 2 months developed, you saw the focus initially, how it was on not laying off people, to a complete U-turn in some states where they said that entire labor laws are suspended. Okay, so there was a lot of unpredictability and uncertainty in the law itself. There was divergence in different states. What does it mean for a lawyer? For a lawyer, it means that given the variety of situations that businesses face, they will not have clear-cut answers. And because the situation itself is evolving, they will repeatedly come to you for advice. The important part there is to start working on that. Now, if you are an intern, or if you are in the third year, fourth year, fifth year, you're looking for jobs, you're looking for paid internships. The challenge here is this, that earlier you could apply for an internship, get it, work in your senior's office, and expect to learn through some way or another, because you would be at least given some files to read, you would have been given a client email to read, so you would be exposed to work, even if you didn't get the best of training possible because of logistical constraints that the senior may have had. But the senior would have taken out maybe 5-10 minutes to mentor you on a daily basis. You could have got some time, so something would have kept on going on. Okay. Now, for everybody, this was a big hit when they had to start working remotely. Okay, and that still continues, because while you're not prevented from going to office and working, people are being very, very careful. And nobody is, a lot of people, if they can avoid opening office, they are doing that. If they can work at less capacity in physical premises, they're doing that, right, to prevent the risk of the disease. Okay. So what it means is that that situation has continued. Now, this means that, earlier, if I had space, we could have maybe 20 interns in our office. And that's the case for many lawyers. Now, however, when it's a remote environment, they're like, how do I give an intern work? How do I share client files with them? Because this is confidential information. Okay, if I make them sign, maybe I can make them sign a piece of paper, but how do I enforce it? If I could share files with them in a way that, they could not breach confidentiality even if they wanted to, that would have been great. Okay. Does anybody else feel I need to be louder? Okay, I'm so sorry. Guys, please point out if that happens, okay? Okay, so where do you want me to repeat from? Is it better now? Okay, so what I'm saying is that earlier, even if I didn't have much time to mentor and guide an intern, I would have happily had a law intern in my office, because if he's in the office or she's in the office, that person would learn at least something from the files or the emails or the matters that give them. Okay, and confidentiality was not an issue. Okay, because some files would be in hard copy. Okay, or some files, or I might have had a technological system. Many of the big law firms had desktops which were provided by the law firm and connected to their own mainframes, as a result of which what happened was that even if you wanted to, you wouldn't take that data out. Now that becomes a big concern now when you have to do an online internship. Okay, because unless a senior is confident enough that data won't go out, it's very difficult for them to share, and just signing an NDA or a confidentiality agreement may not be enough. Okay, so that is one problem. The other problem is if there are physical files, and this is, if there are physical files, then how are they going to be scanning everything to share with an intern? Okay, is it worth the time? Is it worth the effort? Okay, now as an intern or as an applicant, you may feel that I must be given a chance to perform and prove myself, but there is a history that the lawyers who've been having interns, they know about, right? That how much time does it take for an intern to effectively be productive, to effectively contribute? What kind of work can I give an intern? What kind of work can I not give an intern with immediate effect? Okay, so a lot of lawyers who actively take interest in mentoring people do it for that. They used to accept interns because they want to contribute to them. Okay, so even if the output was not very high, they would want to mentor you. Now, a lot of those situations have been hit, right? Because logistics of it has become too difficult. One is the logistics of sharing work, sharing data. Okay, the second is the logistics of staying in contact. I have to pick up the phone or schedule a Zoom session to talk to you, which is way more difficult than my sitting in my office, you barging in my door and saying, sir, I need some help. Okay, imagine that was a really simple situation. I didn't have to manage anything. You could just barge in whenever I was taking 5-10 minutes off, and you could get some guidance. I could give you some work, I could give you some feedback. Now that's not happening because work has shifted online. So one of the major challenges you all will be facing while applying for internships or jobs is exactly this, that where your seniors are still, they are adapting to the new changes and they will want help soon, but as of immediate necessity, they may not exactly be ready to sort of have you hit the ground and running in an online mechanism. it was a big challenge for law firms to move entirely remote. For about a month and a half, it was a struggle. And now it's even getting harder because, people are finding it difficult to, maintain productivity from home. It gets tiring, it gets exhausting, right? So this becomes another task for them. But here there is a new kind of opportunity for you. That is what I want to speak about today. What is this new opportunity? Okay. Two opportunities are here. One is that, of course, we always speak about the possibility of getting independent, I wouldn't say clients, but people you can help. Okay, if you're not graduated, you can't give pure play legal advice, but you can help people with their legal work. So you may not file a document in court, but you may assist in drafting. You may assist in drafting a contract. Okay, these kind of things are available, right? So we're going to speak about how you can get these kind of opportunities. And the second is that if you want to apply for internships with a lawyer or with law firms, then what are the skills you would need? And I'm going to take a slightly unconventional route at that part. Now, we've spoken about how to get client opportunities a lot in our earlier webinars. So I want to take that part second in this session. And we will look at some of the places where people get stuck in getting client opportunities. But before that, I want to touch some new ground on how can you assist lawyers, okay? And how can you get internships where you can bypass this requirement that the lawyer has to share data with you. So that should not be needed, okay? And the second about contacts. So the lawyer should be able to sort of, if your senior sees your work and is excited that my intern is actually making me visible in place and doing things that I couldn't do, then your senior is going to be incredibly happy. Agreed? So you've got to find out what are the things that you can do or learn that do not require 10-20 years of experience, and that you can do for your senior because your senior may not have the time for it, and which will still contribute to your senior's legal practice. It should not require your senior to share data with you. So client data should not be required. If you need to get on a call with your senior, it should be because you need to help your senior out. So that is possible. That's not a problem. But client work may not be necessary to be done. Okay, that's what you've got to start out with. Okay, so what kind of work is that? Can anybody take some wild guesses? We're going to touch upon some of those work, but just take some wild guesses and suggest what do you think, what kind of work would be like that? So you may get an internship with this, you may build great relationships, but you would not need confidential client data. Okay, so Shubham Sharma and Aarti are saying write articles for the senior, write blogs. Do you understand that your senior, if they wanted to write an article, let's say it takes 6 days and half an hour or 45 minutes a day, and at the end maybe on a Saturday 3-4 hours, so maybe 6 hours for an article. Okay, now for you to be able to write that kind of article might be a challenge. Okay, so writing articles is, yes, possible, but how do you make it better and more productive is something you might want to figure out. Okay, so research work, yes. Vani, I am, what's your name? You can put your true name on this. Everybody who has your numbers as your name, it'll be good if you can put your real name on this. You can rename yourself on Zoom. It'll help us know you better. Okay, so review, interpretation of law, learning and doing pre-trial work. So all these are requiring some engagement from the senior, some investment. Help, but you will have to be at a certain level. Your skill has to be there to be able to do that kind of research, right? Otherwise, it will be problematic. Proofreading requires them to share data with you. Drafting requires them to trust you a lot and share data with you again. Right? So what's it going to be? Some of your inputs have been useful. Bharat, for example, you've said help on digital work like presentations. I completely agree. IM has said technology related matters. That works. Aarti and Shubham, I agree with you, but I am still trying to think of a method that would make it effective for a senior and worthwhile for your senior to say yes to it. Okay. Read the latest updates on legal, Bharat. Okay, great. So, okay, let's look at what all, let's list down, okay, specific tasks that a senior will actually need help from you. How about, these are unconventional, okay? You're not going to be totally amazed or you're not going to love it, but let's just look at what realistic tasks would be there. What about building a simple website for your seniors practice? Okay, now you might say that a regular website guy, a regular web developer can build a website. So why should you, with your 5 years of legal knowledge, do this work? So I'll tell you a problem that most seniors face with web developers is that it takes months. It's hard to communicate requirements. It takes a lot of time to get a simple website made, maybe 3 months, 6 months. Cost is very high. Okay. At the end of the process, either the project might fail or the design may not be professional, may not be the way you wanted it. It will be difficult to update the website. Okay. It will be difficult to update the website because you have to instruct the web developer and he has to do it in a turnaround time of maybe 3 days, 4 days. Sometimes they may not follow your instructions properly, right? So that becomes a big challenge. Now, what if, and the search cost is very high. So to find a reliable person, it is very difficult for a senior. Now, I'll tell you why this is a pain point worth solving. If it takes 3 or 6 months for a senior to build website, there are many people who've not built websites for themselves. Those who build websites in 3 or 6 months means they are 3 or 6 months late in the market. In today's market, nobody wants to be late. You have to be there at the earliest possible time. Okay. So if you want to build good rapport, good relationships with lawyers, it will be great if you can build websites for them. Now you might say that why would a senior value my website designing skill? Okay. So here's the big insight. It's not about making the website. I'll tell you a tool you can use and it's very easy. But it's about putting the right insight to showcase your seniors' expertise well. That is what they're going to value. And that is something a web developer can never do. Okay. So I'm going to share a tool with you called Wix.com. Okay. Wix is a paid tool which allows you to easily build a plug and play website for a senior, for anybody you want to. And it's like 300 rupees a month. And obviously, somebody who wants a website made is willing to pay that because any web developer charges at least 20 to 40,000 or more for the first cut of a website of maybe 5 pages. Okay, so 300 per month is like dirt cheap. You get themes on this, which are easy to use, easy to configure. Now, the place where you've got to put in your insight is in knowing the industry, in knowing the segment, in knowing where your senior adds value. Now, it may be hard for a senior to take out time to give you feedback on your work every day. But is it going to be as hard for your senior to come on the phone to talk about his or her practice? If you say, okay, sir or ma'am, what are the types of clients? What is it that clients most love about you? What are the sub-segments which you practice? Okay, if you help startups with contracts, which are the top kinds of contracts that startups need? Let's write an explainer on it. Okay, sir or ma'am, let me help you create an advisory board which you can put on your website for your practice so that people who visit your website know that there are seniors who are advising you. And how will I help you? Well, the network's going to be yours, but I'm going to help in writing those emails, inviting people to be your advisor. I'll help in follow-up calls. Okay, I will help in follow-up, in getting them on board. I'll help in putting those advisors' names on the website. Okay, this is one example. Okay, now what happens when your senior gets an online presence? It becomes like you can say that the practitioner has he or she can start a firm. He or she can actually be discoverable by clients. You can improve their LinkedIn profiles. Everyone in a LawSikho course improves their own LinkedIn profile by a big margin. They are used to practicing posting once a week. If you want your profile to get traction, you should post between once to thrice a day, but even once a week, people are posting and we are seeing that they are getting traction. Okay, now imagine if you translated this for a senior. You built their LinkedIn profile, you ensure that their website is built. Now you move to the next part of it. What's the next part of it? So you're helping them basically build up this remote online practice, which doesn't require client information. After you build a website, you will need to have a standard disclaimer that that the visitor is agreeing that there is no solicitation and has on his or her own self reached the website. That's a standard disclaimer to comply with BCI rules. But what happens when one gets in? You can see you will want to sort of capture the client in an email list. Okay, in the email list you will have to send. So when a client gets onto your email list, you might have seen all those WhatsApp forwards that you get, right? You could get those in groups, or you could get those through a broadcast list. Okay, WhatsApp allows you to create a broadcast list of people whom you want to send information to. Now similarly, you can do that on your website. Why do you want to do that? Because in today's world, people want to be able to trust what you do. Okay, there are two ways people. So the most important thing to get somebody to give you work is for them to be able to trust you. How do they trust you? One way is they come through a referral. Second way, they could come through a referral, or they could see that you've got 10, 15 awards or something, or you're renowned, you're in some top 10 list or something like that, can be a way. But people understand that many of the awards are also sponsored. So awards may not be the only way to recognize credibility. So awards plus referral can be one way. Another way is, and this is the deepest way, if they personally trust and know you. Okay, how do they get to know you? You cannot meet them in person, but from the time they visit your senior site, let's say your senior wants to help technology businesses. Okay, so they get onto the site and your senior will want to uh, portray that he or she understands what technology businesses value. So when a user gets on the email list, after that, what you want to do is every day send them an email, or you can do it initially twice a week, about the challenges that technology businesses face. And these are business challenges, but you can draw the connection between legal issues. For example, there could be co-founders disputes that exist because there is no co-founders agreement in place. Okay, there could be disputes which come up, or there could be loopholes which come up at the time of due diligence when there is an investment that the business is raising, and that could date back to the time that when the business was initially started, there were no contracts in place with key suppliers, there was no terms of use, there was no privacy policy on the website for users. So that kind of information can be sent by a senior on a daily basis. Okay, now it's one thing to say that, sir, I'll configure this for you, and then you can send your newsletter every day. That's what a web developer will do. But you as an intern won't do that. What you will do is you will configure it and say that, sir, let's get on a call, sir or ma'am, let's get on a call for 15 minutes every day. And let's figure out one challenge that we can solve every day for these people. And we don't have to sell a service at all. We have to educate our clients. And let's talk about one input that they will value. Okay, maybe we can give them a free checklist, maybe we can give them a free white paper or free research paper once in a while, but let's send them at least 1,000-word email when we are talking to them, inviting them to get in touch with us on a one-on-one basis. Okay, so that's your website and emailer setting. What do you use for this? So many of you get information about our webinars through our daily emails, or you get it through our WhatsApp group, right? You can do something similar for your senior, right? You could help them create a WhatsApp group of people who want, or join WhatsApp groups as a lawyer of people who could be in their potential industry segment. So there could be tech entrepreneurs, there could be people So there are many WhatsApp groups, like HR managers have a WhatsApp group, startup entrepreneurs have various WhatsApp groups. You could help them join those. You could help them. It's not about which WhatsApp groups they join. Okay, you can help them with that, but the content strategy needs to be planned out next. Okay, so after you've built the website, you've configured something like a MailChimp, which is what we use. Okay, then you help them with hardcore content, which is the articles that we talk about. But the challenge which we've seen that people face while writing articles is this, that if you're not trained in the subject at all, your article writing may be very, very rookie and you may not dive into the real issues. Also, it's hard to get to a velocity of writing, let's say 2 articles a week. Okay, and many senior lawyers also do not find it so easy to communicate at the level in a simple way on technical issues in a way that the client can understand. Of course, they can argue before a judge, they can write great memos, and it takes them time to do that. But you've got to scale that in a way that they can also reach out to clients through their message. Okay, now that's the practice you've got to do, and you can do it because if you talk to a lot of senior lawyers, they will tell you that these are not tools and techniques they've practiced earlier, and many of them are willing to explore these if it benefits their practice. Okay, and of course everything will happen under their watch, through their approval, but you can prepare those drafts if you learn the technical aspects of these areas and if you prepare something that's simple enough. So it's not as simple as write the article, send it out. Because you say that, sir or ma'am, I'll help you in writing articles, they'll be like, okay, very good, but where do I push them out? But what if you give them this whole solution where they build their website, have their emailing list configured? Okay, now after that, when they write articles, it goes on their LinkedIn profile. It gets configured as an email. So somebody who signs up gets that email. And as you keep writing articles on one area, you get better. So you might create a new checklist. You might help them record a video. And by the way, recording a video is simpler than ever before because they're used to Zoom. You get them on Zoom and ask them a few questions and record the video. One challenge here is that people are not used to recording videos a lot of times. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. So you got to make them comfortable. You've got to ask the right questions so that they can talk about it, and you will need to learn a little bit about editing. They can't separately hire an editor to do this. And as a content company, we've been working on video editing, email configuration, and a lot of this. So we've noticed that while you can easily say as an outsider that just get some video editor to do this and produce the video, but there is a major skill involved in identifying what is the question that the video should talk about. How do I put the titles inside the video? How do I put the expert's name in a way that it reflects credibility? Okay, those things you cannot have somebody from outside the industry do it. So while you may think that I'm telling you just learn video editing, I'm not. I'm telling you that video editing is like one of the necessary things you do, but the real deal and the real place you add value is again with your idea of how to make your video, how to make your senior's video great. Now that video, you can help your senior start a YouTube channel, and in your daily knowledge newsletter, if your senior doesn't get time to write, or if you for one day miss out on sending a text email, you send a video of your senior. Right? And what happens is that a client or a reader becomes very comfortable with this, that because you're seeing somebody talk, you're hearing them, you're noticing their body language, and you are seeing this for a period of time. There is nothing better than this for building trust. Okay, this is the best, and it may not show results immediately, but you know what the senior will still see? They will see how many people reply back. They will see the feedback they are getting. And when they see that you've helped them do so much, they know that the moment they can hire someone, they're going to reach out to you, and they might start paying you a stipend because now they are clear that the work you're doing is valuable. And slowly you will make an inroad where you start learning how to contribute in more ways because you will start learning more about the seniors practice. But the only challenge here is who's the person who applies to a senior. One is a willingness issue. Okay, the conversation I'm having with you right now is to talk about what's important, what needs to be done, so that you can develop an inclination and willingness to be able to go in that direction. The second part about this is skills. Okay, there is no doubt about it. Even if it's about writing articles, most law students take 2 to 3 months to write an article. And it's not that they write one article every 3 months. They took 2 to 3 months to write an article, and they'll write one in a year or two in a year. But the question here is, you've got to be able to do this like, it's your everyday job. And that is possible. I am saying that is the work that will get you the results, but not writing articles alone, because your senior needs that visibility. So are you going to help your senior build that visibility? What if you can help your senior get speaking time in online events? You can help your senior organize webinars, because that mailing list will get created. Then you can help your senior in organizing webinars also. Your senior will see, 20 people are there in the session, 30 people are there in the session. They feel great about it, that you've given them this visibility through the use of your skills. Okay, so what did we discuss? We discussed LinkedIn profile. We discussed creating a website, which is through a tool called Wix. I can show you, if you want, on screen share how it works. I'll not go deep inside it, but at least I'll show you the site and the plans. You can use MailChimp to configure it. Okay, MailChimp is for the emails. The next thing you want to do is help your senior in building checklists and roadmaps. Okay, I'll tell you how these work. How does a checklist work? So, how a lawyer will tend to think is that, suppose, let's say I ask you, tell me the ingredients for why an Article 226 petition is maintainable. Okay, then you will say, okay, I've read Article 226, I've read the case law. It says, is there an alternative efficacious remedy? Is there a legal right that is violated? And there may or may not be some connection with the nature of that right. It should be a public authority or a public right that is envisaged. Obviously, if some of you are constitutional law experts, you would know more of these ingredients. But now notice this, that this criterion works well when you're arguing before a judge. It works very well when an advocate is briefing a senior advocate for a case. Okay, but when you are briefing a client who's running a business and which may be a small client, okay, not a big company which has an in-house counsel who understands how to articulate these questions in this way. Okay, that situation is not here in the picture. What's here in the picture is a smaller company where you are helping people identify what their problems are. So you will say, imagine the situation of a startup entrepreneur who wants to raise investment. So you will ask very simple questions. What is your business? Have you incorporated your business? What is the business structure? Did you invest money into it? Have you issued shares? Do you have any certificate of incorporation? Okay, there could be some very simple questions like that. Which are the most important parties, or who are the most important stakeholders in your business? Which are your most important contracts? Okay, what are the key elements to your business? Do you have contracts with each of them? What are the risks in each contract? Okay, so imagine this, that you are helping somebody raise investment and you've told them that I will help you be legally safe. And from that perspective, you will go forward and help them discover where they need legal help. So when you ask them these questions, they will say yes, no. They'll say, okay, I have a company. Because you ask them what's the legal structure, what is the nature of your business? The person will say, I have a company. You will say, have you issued shares? That person will say no. You'll say, is there an incorporation certificate? The person may say yes or no. And you realize that this person is calling it themselves a company, but they have not incorporated a legal entity. So this is basically only a conversational company. This is not a real legal entity that needs to be incorporated, and you may identify, here's legal work for me. There may be 3-4 key parties to the business which are conducting business because there is a very strong relationship of trust, but there's no legal documentation. Now, there may not be a dispute, but an investor will want to see what's the legal documentation, what are the terms of engagement. Tomorrow, the terms may need to change. So you will say, how do you work? What are the terms? What are the key principles? Are these reduced into a contract or not? Okay, so you will keep sending these. So as you talk to more people or your senior talks to more people, you will get used to preparing these questionnaires or checklists. In our contract drafting course, we have something called an information requisition form, which enables you to identify about 20-25 commercial points for contracts to be drafted. Okay, but even that form can be customized for every different kind of relationship. Now, how this works is that you are able to identify from a client by giving them a free checklist what their business is like. What does it do now? Your client sees your emails, your senior's emails, your client sees your senior's face because videos are recorded, and they get to fill the checklist. All this, imagine, happens in a period of 2 to 4 weeks. After that, you can also say that if you want a call, we are happy to conduct a free 15-minute discovery session. Your senior can study everything and conduct a session where you're assisting the senior. Obviously, you've done the background research and stuff. And they identify that what kind of work could be needed. And you suggest 5 things that the client may need. And the client says, yes, I need all of these. Please send me a quote. Okay. So this is the discovery part. Okay, this is the discovery part. So the first step was your senior has a presence online and everywhere. The second step is that the second step was that the senior is communicating with clients. So there is a one-to-one communication over email. There is also a one-to-many communication on the LinkedIn profile and on YouTube channel. One-to-many communication is where you record a video and it's sent out publicly. So whoever is in your network or whoever visits your profile, or through organic circulation of that video itself online, because it's present online, people visit it. So one-to-many, one-to-one through email. Now the specific discovery session where you are able to actually identify with the senior where the work is needed. Now you may speak to 5 clients and 2 may say that I need some legal work, and you say that these are the 5 things that you will need to do, and the client says, what's the quote? Now that's when you need to create a roadmap for a client. Now I'll tell you this, that lawyers are not used to this. A lot of lawyers, some lawyers have innovated, but everybody is not, and they would be happy if you help them. Okay, because what happens is that a lot of times good clients may walk away either because they don't know your worth, and this happens. Okay, if you've seen this movie called The Founder, any of you have seen it? It's about the story of how McDonald's was built into the big franchisee chain ever that it is now. And you know how this was basically started initially by 2 brothers who were so like unwilling to scale because of their past experiences, but there was this other guy, Ray Kroc, who came into the picture and identified how to grow this business. But in that, he says that, you know, there is nothing that feels as bad as wasted talent, or, you know, people feeling that I am so smart but people don't value me. And this, if you can help a senior in reaching out and feeling more valued through these processes, that's what's going to matter. So what you do is then you help them build a roadmap for the client, that step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. All steps, this is the cost. Your senior can decide the cost. 1 step, this is the cost. But what clients like is a step-by-step walkthrough. In the earlier day, or, you know, a lot of senior lawyers today, what they do is that, you know, they may say that this is the minimum price needed for me to consult or to speak to you also. Now, there are clients who know about their reputation and who are willing to do that. And if they lose clients also because somebody is not willing to agree to that standard, it's okay for them, right? Because they are very, very successful and they already have time constraints. But there are a lot of lawyers who not want to lose such clients merely because of the ground that the client doesn't know how good they are. So you will want to create more window and opportunities for prospective clients of a lawyer to know what the senior does, what the senior has accomplished, and low cost opportunities. What are low cost opportunities? Those emails were low cost opportunities. These one-on-one sessions are the highest cost part of it. but it still takes 15 minutes or 30 minutes. So out of those 5 clients, if 2 said we need legal work, one might go give you a go ahead for one part of the legal work. And you know what? The client development part is one of the biggest problems of lawyers. Lawyers have two basic problems. One is client development or client generation, new client generation. This is especially true for independent practitioners and small law firm owners. New client generation, new client nurturing, new client development. The other is on the delivery side of things. Okay. Now, the thing is that if you want to get into work on the delivery side of things, that's what you were doing earlier when you were getting hired from law schools and getting PPOs. You were getting internships, getting legal work. You were directly working into the delivery side of things. Now, what I'm suggesting you here today is to start to look at on the client generation side of things. Okay. And it's interesting that in many cases you will realize, and this is arguable, this is subjective, okay, so take it with that pinch of salt, okay. I'm not like 100% right about what I say, but I'm saying that in a lot of cases you will realize that you know as much or way more about digital marketing, onboarding, outreach than your senior, because lawyers have historically not tried this or not been very used to trying this, because they've followed a different model where they grow primarily through referrals and word of mouth. Okay, now you're adding this new layer to it. Okay, that doesn't make it cheap, that doesn't make it wrong, that just means it's a new way of exploring how to expand a legal practice and how to get new work. Okay, so are you with me till here? Okay, so some quick responses while I take questions. Okay, now tell me something. If the other part you can help with, in addition, and I'll quickly run through this, is with authoring a book. Okay, but if you can't write an article or if you can't write 20 articles for your senior, I don't know how we can get to the part where you can help your senior write a book, right? Because there are too many steps to it. But these are the things you want to look at helping your senior with. But these things take all your intellectual ability, all your intellectual skills, right? So we were thinking, you know how I came up with the idea of this session? We were thinking of uh, creating a small program for lawyers on how to get these things done for themselves. And I realized that a lot of lawyers will just not have the time for this. And I thought, why should we prevent law students from learning this and doing this for lawyers? Maybe that's the way lawyers will benefit. Okay. So I thought, let me pilot it and try it out, and let me speak to all of you about it today and discuss. Okay. So a lot of new ideas will keep coming to you as you're practicing your writing, as you are learning. So everything you know from the past will be put to the test and you will improve from it, but you have to deploy it. You have to go to your senior and propose that this is how I will help. But that means what? You can't just be another person who says that I have 4 years of LLB training from whichever school. Okay, it could be a great private law school, it could be in an NLU, it may be an average law school, it doesn't matter. Just by saying that you're in 4 years, you've done your LLB, it doesn't make the cut until you can demonstrate that this is what I can help you with. And that's what you've got to look at. Okay, which is why I'm talking again and again, subject matter expertise with these skills. For example, when you build a website for your senior, what is the practice area you will write? If you just write technology without explaining what problems technology businesses are facing, what challenges and opportunities for growth are there, without saying that, okay, in technology, is it fintech? Is it e-commerce? Is it the content related apps, video streaming apps? Is it music apps? What kind of tech are you talking about? So if somebody just writes a broad keyword, you're not going to be able to distinguish them from a big law firm which has 10 lawyers working in that practice area or 20. So what are the specific parts where the best value can be provided by your senior? That only you can do. A web developer cannot. Okay, so I'm going to pause and I'm going to get into the questions, and I'm asking all of you one question: that is there something that you are able to think of based on this conversation on what you can do? So when I said acquisition of skills, the problem here is earlier you could wait to get those internships and learn, and of course we have this view that it takes longer, it's a much slower process than preparing for your internship and then demonstrating your work. That will accelerate your learning. But right now, the only opportunity to learn is through actual virtually learning on simulated scenarios, which is what we do in each one of our LawSeco courses. Those of you who are in our courses, you've you would know that because you've been practicing that. I know still that in some places you're struggling with getting independent clients of your own. Okay, though you've got the skills, now we are talking about transitioning this to getting those clients. Those posts that you're putting up once a week, now we need to translate into putting once a day. Okay, and for those of you who've not got to that point, you got to start acquiring your own original skills and pushing them out. Because understand this, that for your senior, you will not just promote the senior skill, you will add your own knowledge, which will help you in fleshing out what your senior specializes in, and then you will promote that. So your goal has to be shaped around it. Okay, you cannot ignore the biggest component, that your own knowledge and insight is what everything is built upon, which is why your senior will value you. Okay, so I'm going to jump to the questions now, and I'm going to take them, let me take them from the top. If a fresher wants to start his own practice, do you suggest doing a juniorship? You can do a juniorship part-time. There is no better time than now to start your own practice ASAP. Use the tools I said. Instead of doing it for your senior, you can do it for yourself. You can help a few seniors do it for themselves also, because you understand that in the legal community, a lot of lawyers, they specialize in one area and they refer to other lawyers they know and trust can deliver to clients. They'll refer work to you, right? So you can help others do this. You can get mentors, but start your own practice. This is the best time, because all the fundamental questions of law practice, building a law firm and building an arguing counsel practice are going to be put to the test in this period. I don't know how long this will last, maybe 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. Okay, it doesn't have to last a lifetime, but in 4 months the whole outlook for people will change. Like, people will get used to virtual hearings. There will be lawyers who will say that I don't get the joy of arguing standing in a courtroom from going to a Zoom hearing and sitting and speaking to a judge. That just doesn't excite me enough anymore. Okay, so everything that was known about lawyering is going to be put to the test as an assumption. So you will still use your legal understanding, your legal skills, but you will dive deeper and deeper into the client's business. You'll go closer to it to bring about to add value. Okay, so I hope Galaxy S10, your question is sorted. I don't know if you are still in this session. Pooja, keep your senior updated about his case. Yes, you can do that, but you can help your senior in setting up a client awareness system. So there are customer relationship management softwares online, and there are practice management softwares online. There is Clio. There is one that what is this company? ProVakil has a practice management software. Clio is a Canadian practice management software that's available. It's amazing to just track billing, projects, out of cost expenses, communicating with clients. You have to integrate it with a communication tool. So you set it up, it will be amazing. Today is not the time when a senior can say that, boss, I'm your lawyer. A client, if he's calling me 3 times to follow up, I'm not going to deal with that client. That's a risky strategy to take in today's day. Okay, so you can set a simple CRM system up for your senior. Okay, and if you want to create knowledge updates, you can do that inside also, and you can share with the seniors mailing list, and you can create a recording of archives, which can be again put on the website. Now, if you deal with a web developer, this is going to be a very painful process, but if you do a plug and play installation using something like a Wix, WIX, you will be able to do it immediately yourself. Sanjay, how can you make a career in cyber law? Will certification in cyber law help you or not? Definitely, you need to be able to advise businesses on different aspects of technology that they face. There are technology contracts, there is data protection issues, okay, there are technology disputes, there is cyber crime and hacking and cyber security related issues. Okay, these are, then there is fintech, which is a subsector. These are the important areas. And to be able to make a career in this, basically you are saying one way is to look at this, that can I build clients in this area? So you acquire those skills and you can build the clients. Okay, because every week now we've got a placement program, for example, which is helping law students identify jobs and internships. It's helping, we've even got a system now to connect people with client opportunities. We're creating a mechanism for that. Okay, so if you've got the skills, it'll be faster for you to talk to a client, to somebody who says, hey, I need a technology lawyer to help me with X kind of contract. You can jump into that. But when you've never drafted that before, you've never learned about it, it's a big challenge. You will think that should I get into it or not? I need some practice. I first need to go under a senior. And that there goes your 3 years of life. Okay. Neelam, how to make career in IP and TMT law, what to learn or do during law school for this. So the quickest way, Neelam, is to look at a course where you can actually see which skills are being taught. And I'm just saying that if you go on the LawSeeker website, you can clearly see in the page that which skills you will learn. Okay. And you will see that it's damn exhaustive. Everything possible under the sun is covered there. We created a 12 months media and entertainment course. Okay. And the faculty teaching used to bring so much of practical work. It sometimes used to run into like 6 months of classes. We didn't expand it. People were completing it in 3 months, but they were able to attend the classes to learn from it. Okay, we didn't shut access because it was more engaging. Why was it changing? So every time we build a list of exercises for a course, we realize that in the next batch we're doing something else. You know why we're doing it? Because it's impossible to freeze it. I could freeze an LLB syllabus maybe, but we can't freeze what the industry wants from lawyers. That changes every 3 months. By the way, during lockdown, it has probably changed a couple of times already, right? Like if you teach somebody how to file cases at the Supreme Court's registry, you'll now have to go virtual because of the virtual filing systems coming. So everything is changing so fast, and we need to be aligned with the times. So one of the ways to do this is first to, so I'm not saying you take this course and your career is built. It can never be like that. But I'm saying that when you want to build a career in IP and TMT law, what do you need? You need skills. Okay, that's there in the course. You need to be able to write. So you have a huge writing assignment coaching system available now. And the writing assignment coaching system has actually 5 days of class. You can come in every day, discuss your doubt, go back and write your article. You write 1 article a month, and if you want to write more, feel free to ask. Okay, you need evaluation of your work, which people never have got in the history of education in the country. It's very difficult to get evaluation. You get marks, but you don't get evaluation. You don't get feedback. How do I improve? What is the correct thing to do? You get correct answers where? In MCQ. But MCQ doesn't develop your skills. If you look at the theories of learning, MCQ doesn't enable you to recall when you don't have anything. When you have something in front of you, you can identify what's correct. But when a client comes to you, you don't have anything in front of you except the act and the case. So your ability to imagine a solution from nowhere out of thin air is very important. For which, what do you need? You need to back on every real skill that you can acquire. That has to be in your kitty, otherwise it will not work. Okay. So I hope you've got some idea, Neelam. Hare Krishna, how about internship after lockdown when cases will be handled online through video conferencing? Exactly, right? So you will be able to do some online research there. But to get those internships, the question is, what are we going to do now? How are we going to get to this point where there are 2 or 3 seniors willing to give us work to help them? How do I get to know 5 seniors really well in this lockdown? Okay, so you have to widen the context of an internship. It's not 1 month of internship, some decoration on your CV, and 5% higher chance of getting a job. That's not the purpose of an internship right now. Right now, you've got to look at this, that an internship is a big opportunity to build a relationship with someone. That person could be somebody who refers work to me after I go independent 5 years down the line. That person could give me a job 3 years down the line. You're looking at that quality of a relationship. Okay, so value it more than 1 month, than 2 lines in your CV and a 5% increase in probability in getting a job. Okay, look at it as a full-blown relationship. How much more would it be worth to you if I told you that your next internship is going to be the one which is going to generate you 4 or 5 client matters 5 years down the line in referrals? Okay, it's going to generate probably a 6 months job for you in future, or a year worth of job. Okay, then how will it go? Will you value it more? Will you look at it as a relationship? Will you be willing to invest more in relationship building? Okay, anybody who wants to get enrolled in our placement program, that is exclusively for Law Seco students, and for the students also, there's a precondition that they should be doing some work for 1 or 2 months and after inside the course, and then they go to the placement cell, and there they may be given some additional tasks just to ensure that they are at the right place and space to do the internships. Okay, so you will need to get in touch with our team. Abhay, you can message me on my phone number. I'll put you in touch with our team and they can suggest what works for you. Okay, I'm just looking at the other questions. If you want to go into judiciary, then is our internships important or not to get involved in internship and clearly focus on PCS? So Sanjay, we have judiciary courses. Astha has answered that question. But at the same time, if you want to, it's important to also learn how to, you need to get familiar with some amount of practice, right? So you do the judiciary course and you can continue to learn practicals, to use your practical skills on the side. Okay, so one part is the learning part, the other part is the service part. Why don't you continue to serve and help people? Okay, is that can improve your learning. So the course will enable you to learn and assimilate things much faster. Practice, build skill sets fast. Okay, some of our upskilling courses which enable you to, which teach you practical skills, are included in the judiciary course bundle, which means that while studying for the judiciary, you are learning practical skills also. If you are doing that, then you can actually do real internships and help people remotely. Okay, so it's always a good idea to have had some practical experience. So practical skills and practical experience if you are going to attempt the judiciary exam. Sanjay is asking, are corporates better than government job? That's purely a matter of what you're looking for, right? Sanjay, if you want job security, then government job is the best. But even in government jobs, some of the highest levels of bureaucrats have said we don't want to take salaries. So think about that. If in a corporate there is 50% pay cut, in government that has happened in some places, not everywhere, and that's been voluntary also. But I think that if you are looking at it from a question of growth opportunity and security, then there's nothing else more secure than your own skills. If you have your own skills, the confidence and ability to get clients and serve them, then your income standard is set by you. That's the most secure thing. Then you are free to apply at a corporate, you are free to apply at for a government job. Selin, it will be good if you can reach out to me personally. Aarti, how do you showcase that you have helped the lawyer in arranging webinars or made videos? Do you paste the link in the CV? Definitely showcase all the links. And please, while editing, speak to your senior and get an acknowledgement that assisted by Aarti. If you're Aarti Gosavi, then yeah, write your full name. Assisted by this, production assistance by this, content assistance by person. So get some acknowledgement so that your name goes out. Put in your email ID so that another person also who's seeing you can reach out to you for similar work. Okay, that much seniors are kind enough to accept if you request them. Sanjay, okay, Sanjay, you also, can you message me? I have typed my number so you can connect with me and I'll route you through whoever is the best position to guide you. Meghna Pakrani, you should get in touch with me. We'll talk personally because this session will go until 6 on banking and finance. I'm not sure if it's relevant for everyone. If there are common parts, then I will address those. Is it fine, Meghna? Zulfikar, what is a virtual internship? There can be an online internship which you can do with Law Seco or a lawyer, or there is a separate kind of virtual internship, something like what is there on Inside Sherpa, like a White and Case training program. which is a virtual program. Like everything is virtual. Okay, but I have not tried it myself, so I can't say it, but it's got a pre-designed pattern. So it's not real in terms of the work. It might have been real, but it has been abstracted to give it to you in a standardized form. A virtual internship can also be a regular internship done remotely. Okay, where you're working on real work given to you. Okay, I'm flooded with questions now, guys. We got to wrap up. So which are the most important ones that need to be addressed? Ashrita, you should apply to internship@ipleaders.in. Anybody who wants to explore an online internship with LawSeco, apply to the email ID I have written. So Advocate Bibu Sadhu Khan, you can write me a message. I'll connect you to Harsh, who can guide you on how to do this from our team, okay? Is there a new portal where you can get some work as hands-on for new lawyers? Bharat, we have groups for our course students who are lawyers where we refer client opportunities. Okay, that's what you can do. As for the question on LinkedIn, what you need to do is develop an all-star LinkedIn profile for yourself and post 3 times a day. And if you're doing this for a senior or a mentor, help them do this. There are more aspects on the checklists and roadmaps. I'll do that in another session with all of you. So you can come for that. 1234, there's a username 1234. You've done BSc, LLB, MBA with 24 years with sales and marketing a year back, started practice in High Court. In which area of law do you need to work so that you will get benefits faster? So you need to, because you've done sales and marketing, I can tell you this, that the first thing to do is not to say I do high court litigation alone, but to be freshly looking at clients' problems. You can say I specialize in high court litigation, but I'm willing to understand what kind of solutions you need and go from the pain point of the client. They may need you to spend 5 hours of on call to help them set a legally compliant business process with, say, a legal metrology statute or an FSSAI statute or some other statute or a fintech statute or a data protection statute, regulation. Okay. So now if you do this 5 hours of work, you're going to charge them, right? Maybe 1 hour is going to be free, but you can't say that I'll just do high court work for you. So be open to that, and clients will be willing to pay you if you help them reduce legal risk by this method. 1234 and NKM, I hope your questions are answered. Selin, just send me a personal message. I'll set up a time. Okay, Rahul, you've been a maritime consultant and ex-captain for 15 years and a lawyer for the past 2 years. You need to now concentrate on legal work. How do you get an internship? So why don't you just start posting about maritime law or start a YouTube channel? Okay, and on LinkedIn, you can do a keyword search, also type maritime lawyer. You'll find who are the top maritime lawyers. Share your videos with them. Okay, and help them do the same thing that I was talking about. And at the same time, do it for yourself as well. A lot of senior lawyers do not do matters unless they are of a certain scale or certain amount. Okay, so you can take up a lot of the matters that private matters that they are not taking up. You do post and organize online seminars. That's great. Are you getting work from there? Have you created some closing opportunities from there? Like you can do an open webinar where people come, talk, get value and go back, versus also adding things that they can come to you for, so that you can close that later, right? You can convert it into a legal brief later. So maritime insurance, what else? Arrest of ship, what else? Okay, posh, you do. So create opportunities for those participants in the seminar, and this is important for all of you. Create opportunities for the participants in seminar to get back to your senior. If they need XYZ, give them something free that they can take away. Okay, so that they can use it later. And in the footer, there should be the number and contact of the senior, so that if they want to, they can reach out for any help. Okay. Nipun, scope of criminal law after lockdown. Scope of criminal law will always be the same. Like criminal law will not go out of sync with things, right? But as a criminal lawyer, you got to do 2 things. Pure play criminal law is great. Look at white collar law also. We just organized in this week, a couple of days back, a session on PMLA litigation. So that's something you should explore. You should look at criminal proceedings under GST. Okay, these are some of the, you should look at criminal aspects of maybe other regulatory statutes. There are anti-corruption related aspects. Okay, so you should master not just regular criminal law, but also these specialized statutes. Okay, that's where the fun lies. Start with regular criminal law and also do these. It's not so difficult. Yeah, Mohit, cybercrime has increased and absolutely new kinds of frauds are being invented literally at this time. Okay, Sanjay, we'll do on criminal law and criminal litigation. Nipun, should you go for LLM? Sure, you can go, but I do not know about the travel aspect of LLM. Okay, many people are saying that if we don't get to experience a foreign country, exactly why are we going? Why are we going spending so much on a foreign LLM in that case? Okay, that's what people are saying. So you have to see why you want to go for an LLM. And for those people who say this, it's very clear, right? They wanted to go abroad, meet an international community of people, experience the country, the life there, which is not possible if there's a travel restriction or if there's a distancing norm, all of that. So you've got to be clear what you're going to LLM for. Okay, if it's just learning how to help clients right now, that you can start off. There's nothing stopping you. Let the rubber hit the road, man. Just start now. That's what's important. People are not thinking what's the next action. They are saying that what is the thing I need to do so that I can take the next action. No, take the next action. If you fail, fine, do something else. Or do something else. Why? Not to leave, not to quit, but to get to success in your immediate next action. Nipun, you should speak to Shweta Devgan from our team. You can call, you can WhatsApp me. I'll route you to Shweta Devgan. Right now, I can't give everybody's numbers. It's just too complicated, right? Okay, so Bharat, again, there are other ways. I'll address your question. I do not know whether it's for 1 year or 2 years in Symbiosis. I'm very sorry. Okay, everybody, time to take your quick feedback and takeaways. How did you find the session? What did you take away from it? What are you taking up now? Any recommendations for the next session? I got a recommendation for criminal litigation session, and I got a recommendation for creating roadmaps and checklists and yeah, and what else? Like, so your feedback, recommendations, ratings out of 10 for the session, please let us know. Those of you who are in our courses, let us know how did you find this. Those of you who are not studying our courses, let me know what is it that you want to take up next. If you want to explore taking our courses, I am not saying register right now. I am saying if you want to identify what you can achieve, how can you grow if you take up one of our courses, or what are the career opportunities in an area of your interest, then you can get in touch with me through WhatsApp over this. Okay. Okay, Ijas, we'll keep your recommendations in mind and work on this. Thank you, everybody. Cheers. Have a great week ahead, and we'll meet each other once again later. Bye.